In accordance with the board's bylaws, as chairperson, I will now call the May 10th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of Illinois State University to order at 9:20 a.m. I note for the record that notice of today's meeting was posted in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act and that the public has been notified of the date, time, and location of this meeting. As included in the meeting notice, the university provided a YouTube link that allows all interested persons to view the meeting and hear all discussion and votes. Trustee Navarro, please call the roll.
Trustee Bone.
Present.
Trustee Ebekumi.
Present.
Trustee Jenkins.
Present.
Trustee Jones.
Present.
Trustee Merminga. Trustee Navarro, present. Trustee Tillis.
Present.
We have a quorum.
You have before you the agenda for today's meeting. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
So move.
Motion is made by Trustee Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Ebekumi. Is there any discussion? Having no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Next on the agenda is public comments. We have several persons who have indicated an interest in making public comments to the board today. In accordance with established and recorded policy, the Board of Trustees will allow up to 30 minutes in total for public comments and questions during a public meeting. An individual speaker is permitted 5 minutes for his or her presentation. If more than 2 persons wish to speak on a single item, it's recommended they choose 1 or more persons to speak for them. The Board of Trustees will accept copies of the speaker's presentations and questions and other relevant written materials. If you have any written materials you want to share with the Board of Trustees, you may send them to bot@ilstu.edu. When appropriate, the Board of Trustees will provide a response to a speaker's questions within a reasonable amount of time. Again, I reiterate that each speaker has 5 minutes. Our first speaker at this time is Haley Thies. I may have pronounced that incorrectly. Please come up to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board. Sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly, Haley.
For 2 weeks, our pro-Palestinian, anti-war student protest has clearly communicated to ISU leaders our demands. Call for ceasefire, disclose all investments and spending, divest from all companies complicit in Israel's war crimes, militarizations, and human rights violations. Release a statement in support of ISU's Palestinian student body and recognize the international rights of the Palestinian people. Yet the most basic ask, to be granted an official meeting to discuss these goals and how they can be achieved, has been patronizingly ignored. The only on-topic conversation President Tarhouli has had with protesters surrounding the cause took place on May 3rd, with the students conducting a peaceful sit-in outside his office, who later that day were arrested and suspended. President Tarhouli has claimed that this short and unsubstantial discussion was a good faith meeting, despite it being unplanned, unofficial, and lacking actionable responses. The whole root of our co-protesters sit-in was to force collaboration from Tarhouli after previous emails requesting formal engagement from our admin had been ignored. Please pay close attention to the following evidence of this dismissive behavior. Our first FOIA request sent to the President, Board of Trustees, and other admin on April 25th specifically asked in request number 3, would ISU be willing to work in conjunction with its students? No recipients responded. Rather, request 3 was answered by the Public Records Office with an unconnected reply, quote, the university continues to explore this complicated issue which requires consultation and further review with stakeholders. Are the stakeholders more important than your students' concerns about genocide? It seems that money is ISU's priority, so remember that our tuition is a huge part of your funding. Let's move on to the next instance. On April 29th, Tarhouli, the Board of Trustees, and other administrators received an email detailing our demands and adding, quote, we are reaching out in hopes of engaging in conversation and planning steps to help you remove ISU's complicity in genocide. We look forward to a response so that we can work together and proceed. This email never received a reply. 4 days later, on May 3rd, the day of the sit-in which ended in arrests, a representative from Students for Justice in Palestine emailed President Tarhouli restating our demands and adding, quote, "Please take appropriate and immediate action to schedule and meet with a small group of the ISU SJP student leaders." This received a vague, evasive reply that contained no mention of planning a meeting or discussion at all. Still, we have continued pleading for a respectable meeting. Just this Tuesday, the 7th, President Tarhouli, the Board of Trustees, and other administrators received another email requesting a meeting with the president and detailing the steps of how ISU can fulfill our first demand of calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Shocker, the email is still awaiting a reply. While this isn't even a full list, let's move on to some face-to-face interactions in which our purpose and demands have been brushed aside. Just this past Wednesday, we conducted another sit-in at Hovey Hall. When the president walked through us to get to his office, we asked him why he hasn't responded to our emails or attempted to collaborate on working towards our demands. The president ignored all questions and instead talked over us, asking irrelevant questions about our finals. When asked why he shunned our questions and walked past smiling in our faces during such serious inquiry, his only response was, quote, "I'm a nice man." Upon his exit, we again questioned him continuously, but the only response he had was that, yes, he had seen our emails. Another example took place that same day after the SGA meeting when President Tarhouli was approached by Students for Justice in Palestine's president, who again had relevant and important inquiries about the president's inaction. But all he had to say was no comment, did you finish your finals, and have a good summer. With Israel's ground invasion of Rafah closing in and so many Palestinian civilians, children, and babies already murdered and starved, shameful is a grand understatement of the ignorance our administration has shown. In light of all this blatant disregard, we have come to face you, the Board of Trustees, and again request a formal meeting to discuss our demands and plans of disclosure and divestment. You will receive another email today from Nick Tay requesting this meeting. We ask genuinely that you are attentive to this and respond with dates and times that would work for this collaboration. Proof of all of these emails will be sent to you.
Thank you, Haley Thies. At this time, I invite Lane Sullivan to come to the podium and proceed with comments to the board.
As a school that claims to value civic engagement, integrity, and respect, ISU has a responsibility to act in line with their shared values. You have compromised your own values with your silence. If you truly align with the values you claim to uphold, you would have extended your support for Palestinian students both at ISU and around the world months ago. If you were honest about your values of integrity, you would not be punishing my peers for demanding their voices to be heard. If you were honest about your values of civic engagement, those 7 students you had arrested would not be suspended and unable to step on campus. If you were honest about your values of respect and integrity, you would disclose your investments that were made through the foundation and actively work to divest from companies, including but not limited to Caterpillar, which is a company directly responsible for the bulldozing of Palestinian households. If you cared about student safety, you would have issued a statement calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and condemning the brutal genocide of Palestinians by the Israeli government. As a geography student at ISU, my education has helped me to understand the complexity of the geopolitics that are affecting the genocide in Gaza currently. It is abundantly clear that the sheer scale of destruction, loss of life, and tragedy would not be possible without the United States enablement. ISU has not vocalized support of the inalienable rights of Palestinians, which are the rights of sovereignty, self-determination, and human rights as stipulated in Resolution 3376, issued by the United Nations Security Council. ISU's complicity and silence reveals that you are siding with deep hatred and dehumanization that the Israeli government has demonstrated against Palestinians for decades. Your failure to demonstrate support towards Palestinian students has shown that the support you offer is conditionally granted. As privileged students of ISU, We are using our privilege to speak up for the people in Gaza, for the students who will not be graduating, for those who have died, for those who have lost their loved ones, lose their limbs and their heads, those who are starving and dying from malnutrition, parents who cannot provide their children with the necessary fundamental needs due to the severity of destruction, and those who cannot return to their homes. As we sit here today, 600,000 children living in Rafah are living in unimaginable conditions. There are no operating sewage systems in Gaza currently. Gastrointestinal illnesses, which easily kill children, are 20 times higher than this time last year, and hospitals in southern Gaza are quickly running out of fuel. The borders on all sides of the Gaza Strip are closed, and it is almost impossible for aid to enter, and Israel's ground invasion would be devastating, that is about to begin, would be devastating to the civilians, and it is about to begin at any moment. It is shameful that a school like ISU that has educated me to use my voice and act in accordance with my own values, which many of which I share with you, has then demonstrated that those values are only leveraged conditionally to appease the agendas of your corporate partnerships at the expense of your students and Palestinians internationally.
Thank you, Lane Sullivan. At this time, I invite March Hale to come to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board.
I came to Illinois State University to teach. I wanted to devote my life to students and understanding their learning, and I thought Illinois State was the best place to do it. As I got into my major-specific classes and my teachers spoke explicitly about teaching for social justice, I thought I had stumbled into a dream in which there was a clear path laid out by my institution how I could make my career live in line with my values. I was overwhelmed with pride to play such an active and invested role in this university. And I'm sorry to say that my feelings have since changed. I am completely ashamed to be a student here. In less than 2 weeks, this administration has shown me and the rest of this community the hypocrisy that they operate in with a level of willful ignorance that has routinely made me sick. We have worked tirelessly and well within our rights to work with you, President Tarhouleh, on ISU's contributions to the Palestinian genocide, and you have belittled us, ignored us, and misrepresented our actions to the public for your own self-service. You have refused to meet with us to start any good faith conversation, and you have used many avenues within and outside of your power to silence us and disjoint the community that we have created in the midst of your oppression. I find it disgraceful and despicable, but more than anything else, I am heartbreakingly disappointed that the values I have been taught in these classrooms don't reach past the doors of Hovey Hall. Illinois State University recites civic engagement as a core value, saying you prepare students to be informed and engaged global citizens, ethical leaders who will craft, promote, and further positive goals for the betterment of society, where students will gain an awareness and understanding of civic engagement as a lifelong responsibility. Our goal of peace in Palestine through your calling of a ceasefire, as well as disclosure on and divestment from all companies complicit in Israel's war crimes, have been effectively laughed at and spit on by this administration. I have found it horrifying, the lengths this administration will go to suppress our efforts and make us mute. Civic engagement is a lifelong responsibility, but one it seems ISU only accepts if it doesn't question their actions and their money handlings too closely. We are tired of playing nice in your game of bureaucracy and politeness. Recognize our humanity. Look us in the eyes and hear what we are saying. Stop shaking hands with and writing checks to the companies that have flattened every university in Gaza. My education is not more important than the education of Palestinians, and it certainly isn't more important than their lives, their safety, and their happiness. Board of Trustees, you now have the opportunity to do better than President Tarhouleh has been doing. We ask that you meet with us in good faith and discuss our demands.
Thank you, March Hale. At this time, I invite Nick T. Redavernia Braswell, I'm sure I mispronounced your name, to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board.
Hi, my name's Nick Tay. Over the coming days, we are hoping to engage in an honest conversation with you guys. It has become clear that more context and explanation is needed for our demands. Therefore, we are creating individual documents that outline each demand and offer step-by-step implementation ideas for how our demands can be used. As mentioned last week, I sent out the full instructions for Demand 1, which is the ceasefire statement. And you can see that email, and I can resend that again if needed. But admittedly, there has been some confusion about the technicalities of divestment as well. I will shortly be sending a document that defines divestment, outlines specific companies that ISU is confirmed to have ties with, explain why they are problematic, how they can be cut, what can replace them. In the meantime, I will cover some of the highlights of this plan right now. Our demands for divestment from Israel follow companies named by the Boycott, Divest, and Sanction movement. Late last week, our group received partial disclosure from the school. I would like to briefly highlight some of the most problematic results of this disclosure. First is Siemens, which plans on creating the Euro-Asia interconnector, which would link Israel to Europe's power grid. This link would enable even more illegal Israeli settlements on stolen Palestinian land and lead to further displacement of innocent Palestinian civilians. Next is HP Incorporated, which helps run the biometric ID system that Israel uses to restrict Palestinian movement. This level of surveillance is a horrific violation of human rights and is incredibly oppressive for Palestinians. Lastly is Indigo America, the U.S. branch of Indigo. Indigo is an Israeli company, and as put forth by the Boycott, Divest, Sanction movement, it is important to boycott all Israeli companies in order to economically pressure Israel and be part of the movement for Palestinian liberation. While the school gives money to Siemens, HP, and Indigo, this money is then used in aid in genocide and extermination of the Palestinian people. We do not support our tuition money being given to such evil companies and demand that the Board of Trustees does not renew any of these purchases with any of these companies as the new fiscal year starts over the summer. We are interested in further conversation about a course of action for implementing such changes, as well as alternative companies that can be used. This is all elaborated upon in the document I will be sharing later. Furthermore, we will continue pressuring the ISU Foundation into full disclosure of donors and investments relating to illegal Israeli occupation. I hope that you will listen to the students and be open to further discussion. ISU would not be the first school to divest from Israeli occupation, but rather participants in a national movement for liberation, justice, and peace. All we ask is for you to be on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. At this time, I invite Cheryl Henry to come up to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board.
I'm Cheryl Henry, a professor, Mennonite College of Nursing. I started at the college in 2019. I was impressed by the civil cooperative culture that I found there. But by 2018, colleagues began stopping by my office, upset, shaken, sharing their stories of being bullied by college leadership. Eventually, there were so many stories that I started taking notes. Over the past few years, I have been approached by over 30 Mennonite faculty members who have described being personally bullied in that they were treated disrespectfully, ridiculed, subjected to intimidation, deceived, and thrown under the bus. Being publicly bullied, in which specific groups at Mennonite were targeted. In one meeting, for example, a leader said that old Mennonite faculty were set in their ways, while young Mennonite was open to change. This statement was not challenged. Faculty in general were belittled, casting doubts on our abilities to progress in our programs. When approached, leadership minimized our complaints and said nothing when uncivil comments continued to be made. When we complained publicly at our college council meeting about this alarming situation, the response was to bring in a speaker to teach the faculty about civil interactions, although at no time did I hear complaints about faculty on faculty incivility. Today, the results of this culture of bullying are widespread. Faculty described feeling isolated. I thought I was the only one. Shamed, anxious. They described physical complaints, headaches, sleeplessness, shakiness, unable to stop ruminating on the bullying behavior. They say they fear retaliation in the current culture. by being assigned to multiple new preps, not being supported for tenure, not being considered for honors or sabbatical leave. I've heard the phrase, "I used to love working here, now I don't," so many times. This has created a revolving door effect. 12 of the 30-something people I have talked to said they intended to leave ISU or that they planned to leave earlier than they originally thought they would. Many of my colleagues have already left. Nursing faculty have a right to work in an atmosphere free from bullying. Despite faculty's efforts, the problem is becoming worse. It's so severe that none of my colleagues would agree to tell their story today. They fear retribution. That's why we need a faculty union and a fair contract.
Thank you, Cheryl. At this time, I invite Mark Zablocki to come to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board.
Good morning. You may have seen some signs on your way into the room that said the statement, "Our working conditions, our student learning conditions," along with some photographs of real-life scenes of various buildings on campus. I've taught in ISU for 13 years and have dealt with my share of broken projectors in Fairchild Hall, a projection screen that needed to be tied to a chair in Williams Hall in order for students to show their presentations, having to wear a mask in Centennial East in the basement because of construction dust in order to attend a meeting, and a leaky roof in DeGarmo Hall, which to this day surprises many in our fifth floor office holders with a new water stain in a different location at various intervals. However, I've not had the myriad of health and safety issues that some of my colleagues have across the campus. I'd like to read a statement from one of my colleagues, Melissa Oreski, who's faculty in the Woodstock Kim School of Fine Arts. I've been teaching at ISU in the Center for Visual Arts since 2002. The facilities I taught in were regarded as awful when I arrived, and there have been no significant improvements in any of the classrooms I teach since. As any Woodstock faculty member can tell you, it is completely normal to find pools of water in stairwells, hallways, and classrooms, to notice new water, damage to ceiling tiles, and to have classroom sinks overflow and flood, and to have people lose their materials, books, and to temporarily clear out offices due to these disruptions. In fact, a major flood caused the whole School of Art Administration office to be relocated to another building on campus for over an entire semester. Everyone who works, teaches, and visits in CVA knows that it is not and has never been an appropriate building for art instruction. Over the last 3 decades, there have been countless emergency repairs made to the building infrastructure, and we're used to seeing crews of workers in the buildings, but these are all stopgap measures, and the waterworks continue. I've had numerous students over the years tell me that they choose to study at ISU because of the excellent programs, but in spite of the poor facilities. Drawing classrooms are located in the basement with drop ceilings and no windows. The ventilation fans generate white noise so loud that faculty typically have to shout to be heard. And painting is taught in classrooms with drop ceilings and poor ventilation. Okay. In 2004, faculty members have been asked to provide input on major investments of time and input, and at least 3 times just to have things fall apart. A new building was finally prioritized and funded at the state level just prior to COVID. When it became clear that money allocated was insufficient because of supply chain and inflation issues, our project was downgraded to a partial restoring of CVA, leaving some classrooms, including the ones I teach in, untouched. I believe we need to prioritize and adequately fund the full functionality and the replacement of poor campus facilities for the health, morale, and safety and success of our students, faculty, and programs. By continually doing Band-Aid reservations, ISU sends the message to the Woodstock Kim College of Fine Arts, and especially to the students that take classes there, that they are not important and worth investing in. We've learned that ISU is a resource-rich institution, making sound financial decisions during times when other universities are struggling. It is in spite of the material neglect we continually work to our students the highest quality of instructions we can. There is unfortunately a camaraderie that faculty forms with students as we push together, working with poor spaces and seeming lack of care that ISU has to our teaching and learning conditions. I love the grit and the commitment of my students and have the greatest regard for my colleagues who are deeply devoted to the institution and to making it such an incredible place to be an artist. I had the I asked the board and administration to imagine what we can do if we were to truly better spaces that we can feel proud of and be confident in. Another colleague who works in Cook reported that the first floor of the Cook building has water damage. They've also commonly seen vermin such as roaches, mice, mold in the walls, poor ventilation, poor humidity controls, which has caused instruments to warp, and faculty have had to pay out of pocket in order to fix those. And so the irony here, I think, is that CVA Cook Hall, is located within eyeshot of the State Farm Hall of Business, which is very well resourced and has state-of-the-art facilities, and with various buildings kind of falling somewhere in between. Aging infrastructure is certainly a problem at many universities, and years of neglect have exacerbated the problems. While it's encouraging that ISU is
You are over 5 minutes, so
investing in
please
upgrades,
conclude.
certain buildings on campus, more needs to be done to commit to the infrastructure building in order to create fair and equitable conditions for the health and safety of all of our students and faculty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. At this time, I invite Renee Nestler to come to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board.
Good morning. I'm Renee Nestler, staff representative for AFSCME Council 31. Today I'm here on behalf of the local 3236 clerical and bargaining committee units. In the past month, we have acknowledged Library Workers Week, Administrative Professionals Day, and are currently in Nurses Week. These are our members, and we appreciate them, and we wish that ISU would show that they do also. On today's agenda, we see ISU has its next strategic plan, which includes bolstering faculty and staff success. Strategic Direction 1, Goal D, Objective 2 is attract and retain talented faculty and staff through various compensation strategies. While we're glad to see this, actions speak louder than words. We have been proposing compensation strategies at the bargaining table for years that our members would be happy with, but ISU continues to reject them, giving us proposals in response that do not address our concerns. Both the clerical and healthcare units are currently in bargaining, with contracts expiring June 30th. During bargaining this week, ISU has given wage proposals that are insulting, shameful, and address none of our issues with our current compressive wage structures that lack reward for longevity. Not only are the wage structures an issue, but also across-the-board increases have been an ongoing issue. They just have not been enough to keep up with inflation nor remain competitive with other employers. Last fall, the Illinois Economic Policy Institute completed a wage study comparing similar titles and job descriptions of the state employees to university employees. They found that university employees are paid on average 21% less than their state counterparts. For the office support series, in our clerical unit, the wage gap is even higher, and our clerical unit is increasingly compressed against the rising minimum wage. This is a significant issue in recruitment and retention, as we notice it taking longer to fill positions and new employees do not stay long. For our healthcare unit, we were hoping to have a contract ratified prior to most employees going on summer layoff at the end of today. However, we are far apart, and the issue, again, remains wages. These are nursing professionals that can work anywhere in the field where they are in high demand, but it seems ISU does not care. Meanwhile, over the last 2 years, most administrators and supervisors in health services receive salary increases ranging from 15.5% to 35%. In addition, there's been an administrative position added with a salary of $80,000. For the cost of the increases of 6 supervisors plus the new administrator, our 25 members could have wage increases that would be slightly above current consumer price index of 3.5% for 3 years, but we are getting offers from the university nowhere close to this. Our members are tired of the excuses on why the university won't accept our wage proposals, especially when others around them are getting huge salary increases, and I will add that the president's position also got a 20% increase. Our members are determined to change the history of the university, ignoring our proposals and not fixing our broken wage structures. I have here signed cards from all of our healthcare members stating that they're committed to do whatever it takes to win a fair contract and are not going to back down. Again, please understand me, they're willing to do whatever it takes. ISU, uphold your value of integrity and do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee Nestler. Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us for today's meeting of the Board of Trustees. First, I would like to thank the Campus Communication Committee for hosting a very informative discussion hour. Thank you to Dr. Jana Albrecht, Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management, for providing admissions and enrollment updates for the 2024-2025 academic year, as well as information regarding future enrollment plans. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to extend a heartfelt congratulations to all our May graduates. The board will be participating in commencement today and tomorrow, and we look forward to sharing in the excitement of our students and their family members as they celebrate this milestone achievement. Although we will have a chance to formally acknowledge Trustee Ebukumi later in the meeting, we can't mention commencement without also extending our congratulations to our student trustee. Congratulations, Ash. We have a busy schedule today with many end-of-the-semester events and graduation celebrations. So I'll stop here, and I'll ask President Tarhule to share his remarks.
Thank you, Chairperson Bone. I, too, would like to extend my congratulations to Trustee Ebukumi, who will graduate this weekend, as well as all of our May graduates. Commencement is one of my favorite moments during the year. Illinois State will award over 4,400 undergraduate and graduate degrees in May and August, which includes over 1,280 undergraduate students graduating with honors, which requires a GPA of 3.65 or better. It is exciting to celebrate the achievement of our students alongside their parents, family members, and communities. I want to thank Graduation Services in the Dean of Students Office, specifically Jill Benson, Terry Hare, and Amy Miller, for their effort in coordinating Illinois State University's commencement ceremonies for our graduates and their families. Commencement weekend involves more than 200 university volunteers to ensure that our students and their families have the best experience possible. With that said, we look forward to another memorable commencement weekend. As I mentioned in my email to campus last week, colleges and universities across the nation face challenges posed by the unfortunate FAFSA rollout, which has delayed financial aid award letters to current and prospective students. However, there is some good news. Financial aid is reporting that Illinois State has recently received thousands of correct FAFSA forms and is in the process of getting award notices to students. The university will closely monitor enrollment deposits over the summer months and calibrate our planning accordingly. Illinois State, like many colleges and universities across the nation, continues to confront difficult experiences and emotions about tragic geopolitical conflicts. It is a mark of our commitment to community and civic engagement as a core value that our constituents feel compelled to speak up and advocate for their positions on these issues. Illinois State University steadfastly upholds the right to freedom of expression for all members of our campus community. Peaceful protest in compliance with university policy is always permitted at Illinois State. Our institution maintains clear policies and procedures to responsibly manage the time, place, and manner of activities on our campus facilities and spaces as described in University Policies 6.1.1 and 6.1.13. We make considerable effort to engage and encourage compliance with these university requirements prior to imposing enforcement measures for violation of university policy. I want to be sure to share a few points of pride before we move forward with resolutions. The Howard Hughes Medical Institute is funding a pair of programs at ISU to foster inclusive excellence in the STEM disciplines. The Inclusive Excellence STEM Fellowships is a program that supports STEM faculty in their efforts to make the introductory STEM courses at ISU more inclusive and supportive. Complementing the fellowships are the STEM ambassadors, who are first-year STEM majors who conduct participatory action research to generate knowledge about how the introductory science experience can be made more inclusive and equitable. ISU is one of only a handful of institutions across the country being asked to lead these efforts that are meant to impact STEM education across all higher education. Dr. Natalie Shaheen, Assistant Professor in the Department of Special Education, is also committed to addressing inequities in science education. She was just recently named the recipient of a National Science Foundation NSF Career Grant of just over $1.5 million. The 5-year grant will address the inequities in science education for blind and low vision students. The NSF Career Grant is a prestigious grant awarded to pre-tenured faculty who show potential to excel and become leaders in their field. Amy Wood, Professor of History, received the Roger D. Bridges Distinguished Service Award from the Society for Historians of the Gilded Age and Progressive for her 10 years of service as the Society's Executive Secretary. Susan Chen, Professor of Economics, was selected as second vice president of the Midwest Economics Association. Nobuko Adachi, Professor of Anthropology, was selected as a member of Japan Foundation American Advisory Committee, which recently met in New York with other notable Japanese studies scholars from the United States, Japan, Europe, and members of the Japanese government. Linda Clemens, Director of the Honors Program, received the Western Writers of America 2024 Spur Awards for Best Western Biography for her book, Unrepentant Dakota Woman, Angelique Renville and the Struggle for Indigenous Identity, 1845 to 1876. The Office of Student Research has announced that 2 students, Amelia Kavaziroski and Robert Civic, have been named 2024 Goldwater Scholars. The Barry Goldwater Scholarship and Excellence in Education Foundation provides opportunities for outstanding U.S. students with excellent academic records and demonstrated potential for research careers in the natural sciences, mathematics, and engineering. Nationally, 438 students were chosen from the 1,353 nominees to receive the $7,500 award. The university announced the opening of the Redbirds Launch Internship Grant. To recognize the ongoing need to support students pursuing unpaid internships, the Office of the Provost has allocated $500,000 over the next 4 semesters for students completing credit-bearing internships. As part of a cross-divisional partnership with Career Services, this funding aims to provide financial assistance to eligible students. Beginning April 25th, grants became available for summer internships, offering students up to $250 per week with a maximum total grant of $4,000. This initiative seeks to fill the gap left by the conclusion of funds from the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Grant in 2020 and 2021. Career Services has already received over 30 applications. The Division of Student Affairs Steve and Sandy Adams Legacy Hall of Fame induction ceremony was held on Friday, April 26. The 2024 distinguished inductees included Trustee Emeritus Carl Carsten, class of 66, Sharon Evans, class of 93, Shamus Manion, class of 99, and Felicia Foster, class of 2008. This was such a touching event as celebrating the accomplishments of these individuals and their enduring connection to the Division of Student Affairs at Illinois State University. Redbird Esports hosted the inaugural Missouri Valley Conference Esports Finals in the Bowling and Billiards Center Esports Arena on Saturday, April the 20th. ISU won all 3 championships, Super Smash Bros., Overwatch, and Rocket League, after finishing first seed during the regular season. For a 4th straight year, Redbird Esports League of Legends made the top 32 championship bracket for the College League of Legends Championships. And most exciting, Illinois State University Redbirds are the national champions for Overwatch yet again. We are the only institution to have won the Collegiate Esports Commissioners' Cup Championship more than once. And speaking of champions, women's golf won the 15th MVC championship in school history, the most in conference history, and then had their lowest NCAA regional team score in program history, 9 shots better than the previous record that was set during the 2004 season. And Illinois State student athletes continue to achieve high marks in the classroom, as the Redbirds compiled a departmental record grade point average of 3.42 during the fall 2023 semester. 3.40, 340, or fully 79%, Redbird student athletes were named to the honor roll, including every member of the women's golf, women's cross country, men's tennis, and softball teams. And for the 5th consecutive year, the Redbirds have earned 90% or higher on the NCAA graduation rate report. In addition, 7 teams achieved a perfect 100% graduate success rate, or GSR. I'm pleased to announce that the university's fundraising efforts have been a tremendous success so far this fiscal year. ISU's annual Giving Day, Birds Give Back, was phenomenally successful fundraising initiative with a theme of Building Birds Together. 4,403 gifts were secured that day with a final tally of more than $1.68 million. FY24 private support, including gifts and non-governmental grants as of April 29th, totaled more than $26 million, surpassing ISU's $26 million goal for FY24, with 2 months remaining in the fiscal year. One example of this generosity is Dave Bentley, alum and now retired assistant to the president, who established 4 Strong Women, the Campbell, Houston, Howard, Zowski Scholarship in social work. The scholarship will be awarded to senior social work students in honor of the following current and retired social work faculty and well-known community leaders: Jean Howard, retired social work faculty; Mary Campbell, retired social work faculty; Diane Zowski, retired dean and social work faculty; and Doris Houston, current social work faculty and former chief equity and inclusion officer. Doris Houston and senior social work major Cassia Garwick are in the room with us, I believe. Would you please stand so we can acknowledge you? Thank you. Alice Malero, as also a recipient, was unable to join us today. Included on today's consent agenda are 2 naming opportunities that are made possible through the generous financial gifts of donors. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the following individuals for making a difference in the lives of our current and future students. Gifts such as these enrich not only a student's Illinois State experience, but their future. John and Patricia Reichard for naming the John and Patricia Reichard Faculty Suite in the Nursing Simulation Center, and Dr. Nancy Redenor for naming the Nancy Redenor Suite in the Nursing Simulation Center. Please join me in thanking this. One of my most immediate goals as president is to fill interim positions. The university will be moving forward immediately with a search for the director of the OEOA. In addition, I plan to move forward with searches for the Vice President for Finance and Planning, Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer, and Athletics Director as soon as possible in the fall 2024 term. As I wrap up my comments, I would like to recognize the following individuals who have recently taken on new roles at Illinois State University. Please stand as I say your name so that we can acknowledge you. Dr. Annie Yazejian, who accepted the role of Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost and began in this role May 1. Amanda Hendricks is serving as Interim Associate President, Vice President for Budget and Planning after the retirement of Sandy Covey on April 30th. Harriet Sternberg, who is unable to be here today, began February 1 as the Director of Innovation and Strategic Partnerships in Research and Sponsored Programs. Let's give her a round. Rachel Karachi returned home to ISU as the Director of Presidential and Trustee Events and began on Wednesday of this week. Although she cannot be with us here today, I would also like to recognize Jean Miller, Dean of the Wonsel Kim College of Fine Arts, who retires on June 30th after 9 years in this role. I extend my gratitude to Jean for her leadership and wish her the very best in her retirement. Lastly, I would like to make a couple of introductions. Kobe Blair has been elected Student Body President for the 2024-25 academic year. Kobe is a senior accounting student who is returning for 1 year of graduate school next fall as part of the BS MPA program. This is Kobe's third year in student government, where he previously represented Watterson Towers students and off-campus students. He is from Marianna, Illinois, a small town near Decatur, Illinois. Kobe, would you please stand so we can recognize him? In addition, I would like to introduce our incoming student trustee, Ryan Russell. Ryan is a sophomore marketing major with a minor in organizational leadership and will serve on the board during the 2024-25 academic year. In his time on campus, he has served as a student life senator in the Student Government Association, the vice president of the University Program Board, the director of event planning for the Student Leadership Advisory Board, and is currently the vice president of Sigma Pi Fraternity, vice president of Brotherhood for the Interfraternity Council, and the president of Business Week. He is passionate about creating a safe and inclusive environment on campus while also making sure students' voices have been heard. Ryan, would you stand so we can recognize you? Last but not the least, congratulations to Dr. Martha Hurst, who was re-elected as chair of the Academic Senate. Dr. Hurst has served in the Academic Senate for 13 years and has also served as secretary of the Senate. She is a professor of composition and theory in the School of Music and is a talented composer of classical music. Dr. Hurst, would you please stand so we can recognize you? I look forward to working with all of you in the coming year. I would now like to call on today's spokesperson for the Campus Communications Committee, Melissa Ramirez Osorio. Melissa is an academic advisor, recruiter, and student success coach in the College of Education and serves as a Campus Communication Committee representative from AP Council and the chairperson of the Campus Communication Committee. Melissa?
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Campus Communication Committee, we thank Dr. Janet Albrecht, Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management, for her presentation regarding admissions and enrollment updates for the academic year 24-25 and information regarding future enrollment plans. A big congratulations to the students celebrating commencement this weekend. We wish all graduates the best of luck in their future endeavors. We're proud of all of our Redbird graduates. The launch of the 24-25 free application for federal student aid, FAFSA, has created significant concern for students and their families in making an informed financial decision regarding their enrollment plans for the new year. Like you, we share these concerns and urge the upper administration to prioritize addressing the needs of all students. We anticipate that our underrepresented students will be most disproportionately impacted, and proactive measures must be taken to ensure that these students receive the assistance and resource they need to continue their studies next year. We recognize the dedication of faculty and staff members who are going above and beyond to provide additional support and outreach to students during these uncertain times. Their efforts do not go unnoticed, and we are grateful for their commitment to student success. We congratulate President André Tarhule on his appointment as Illinois State University's 21st president. We also congratulate the search committee's campus stakeholders and the board for this appointment and express our satisfaction with the search and selection process, which allowed members of ISU community to participate and share feedback. Additionally, we would also like to congratulate Dr. Ani Yasedijan, thank you, on her official appointment as Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost. We look forward to their continued leadership at ISU. The Academic Senate has approved several exciting curriculum proposals during the 23-24 academic year. On March 27, 2024, we approved the creation of a new major and a new minor in artificial intelligence and decision-making put forward by the School of Information Technology. On March 6, 2024, we approved an online business administration major to complement the traditional in-person major program. On February 21, 2024, we approved an integrated legal studies sequence that will prepare students in legal studies majors in the legal studies major to effectively assist clients with legal issues in different languages. These are a few examples of how the faculty and administration of ISU are working to adapt and evolve our curriculum to meet the needs of the 21st century workforce. Most curriculum proposals are initiated by faculty. This ground-up approach to curricular development is the foundation of a healthy university. American Association of University Professors documents on shared governance states that the role of the faculty is to have primary responsibility for such fundamental areas as curriculum subject matter and method of instruction, research, and faculty status. Here at ISU, this approach is codified in the Memorandum of Understanding on Board of Trustees and Academic Senate Procedures on Academic Senate Actions, signed by the Board of Trustees Chairperson Zalewski, President Strand, and Academic Senate Chairperson Hall Borg over 25 years ago. It states the Academic Senate agrees that the Board of Trustees has final legal authority and that the Academic Senate makes recommendations to the President and the Board of Trustees. The Academic Senate agrees that the Board of Trustees has final legal authority and that the Academic Senate makes recommendations to the President and the Board of Trustees. We agree that faculty has primary responsibility for academic issues, faculty affairs issues, and education issues related to student life, and is entrusted with the authority to recommend policies on these issues to the President. The President and the Board of Trustees anticipate that these recommendations will be modified or rejected only in exceptional circumstances. The approval of curriculum proposals is multifaceted. Faculty present proposals to department and school curriculum committees. Once passed, they are reviewed by college and university level curriculum committees before being reviewed by the Academic Senate. For all new program proposals, the Academic Senate requires a financial implications form. This form is thoroughly evaluated by the Provost Office. Proposals to create new programs such as the recently created School of Creative Technology or the Data Science major may require further approval processes involving the Illinois Board of Higher Education. All academic programs at ISU, along with certain academically focused centers, are periodically evaluated by a standing committee of faculty and administrators from across the university to ensure that they remain strong and stable. Further, numerous academic programs are evaluated by national accrediting bodies. The work of the Academic Planning Committee is collated and presented to the Board of Trustees and the Academic Senate in the annual academic plan document. The members of the Campus Communication Committee support the shared governance approach that give gives primary responsibility for academic issues, including curriculum development and evaluation, to the faculty. The faculty agrees that the Board of Trustees has the final legal authority for the university and is the essential voice on financial issues. The CCC was surprised by recent votes and perspectives against curricular matters at the recent Board of Trustees meeting. Today, the board was supposed to review several proposed constitutional revisions submitted by the Academic Senate. These changes would have added senators for the College of Engineering and the Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer. Additionally, we had proposed and revised Campus Communication Committee structure that would have had a more balanced representation. We are disappointed that these items were not approved to be included in today's agenda. The appointment of President Tarhule was a step that by necessity had to precede other administrative positions that report directly to the president. We encourage the administration to fill these positions promptly so that ISU can continue to make progress towards important issues around campus. At the April 24, 2024 Academic Senate meeting, the Student Government Association raised concerns regarding the Office of Equal Opportunity and Access. President Tarhule is committed to hiring a permanent director for the OEOA and looking to address student concerns. As the global political climate remains in flux, it is necessary to provide individuals on campus with the right to free speech. For those who wish to demonstrate their views publicly, we acknowledge that these global issues possess the power to create extremely charged and perhaps dangerous atmospheres when exercised inappropriately. The university has policies in place to maintain the educational capacity and students safely. While several issues will be addressed soon, we wish everyone a well-deserved summer break, and we look forward to seeing everyone on campus next fall. Thank you, and go Redbirds. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. I would like to invite Bride Frankie, Director of Public Affairs and Policy, to the podium for a brief legislative update.
Good morning. Good morning again, and thank you, Chairperson Bone, President Tarhule, and members of the board. I am Brad Frankie and serve as the Director of Public Affairs and Policy here at ISU and oversee the university's state and federal government affairs. This morning, I'll provide an update on legislative session in Springfield, our work and successes in federal affairs, and updates on the university's goals and initiatives pertaining to state and federal coordination. I'm happy to report that ISU has secured Mercury Public Affairs to assist our team primarily in federal affairs. Mercury is a national public affairs firm, and its Illinois team is led by former Congresswoman Sherry Bustos. Sherry Bustos served 10-plus years in Congress, and her wealth of experience and dynamic network of elected officials, state and federal agency leadership, and governmental stakeholders is unmatched. We also continue our advocacy for support with them of the STEM Building Project with the Redbird Caucus and various state and federal agencies. Session in Springfield is in its final weeks, as the last scheduled day is May 31st. There is a chance that adjournment could be before or after the 31st, depending on House and Senate priorities and the state budget timelines. Legislation that advanced out of the House is now being debated and voted on in the Senate and vice versa, before heading to the governor's desk to become law. It has been a busy and productive session for ISU in Springfield. President Tarhule and members of the cabinet participated in our annual appropriation hearings, both in the House and Senate. President Tarhule and members of the cabinet took full advantage of the opportunity to speak directly to the House and Senate Appropriations Committees, outlining our goals, our needs, and our concerns. The committees were receptive and supportive of ISU's current standing and financial requests. Upon my coordination, President Tarhule and members of the team participated in a lobby day at the Capitol. We focused our conversations with legislators on two priorities: our STEM building and our unfunded mandates. These conversations were productive, and those we spoke with were again receptive and supportive. We had a successful Redbird Caucus legislative reception in Springfield last month. We had a great turnout attending what was the Office of the Governor and their staff, legislators, House and Senate staffers, state stakeholders, and alumni. The event provided an opportunity for guests to engage while in Springfield and celebrate ISU's successes. ISU hosted 4 lobby days and many on and off-campus meetings with legislators, allowing us to directly advocate for our causes. The president and cabinet members, our Student Government Association, the Illinois Tutoring Initiative, and the College of Education have lobbied in the Capitol. Some have made multiple trips under my direction. Yesterday, President Tarhule testified on ISU's stance on the newly recommended equitable funding formula, along with the other public universities. Conversations regarding the recommended funding formula will likely surpass this session and continue through the summer. As mentioned, a priority for President Tarhule and the administration has been advocating the need for state assistance on addressing our unfunded mandates. We have called several meetings with House and Senate leadership, our Redbird Caucus members, the governor's office, as well as participated in a legislative higher ed working group meeting. Legislators are aware of what ISU's concerns are here, and our hope is to get some relief in the finalized state budget. An accomplishment that ISU can be proud of is the work and leadership of the Illinois Tutoring Initiative, AKA the ITI. In collaboration with several other public universities and community colleges, ISU leads the statewide program that provides high-impact tutoring to over 3,000 K-12 students a week in partnership with other local school districts. The ITI was originally funded federally through COVID relief dollars. Funding is set to expire this September. With the help of the ITI's leadership, we have been able to successfully raise awareness of the program and gain vast support through the House and Senate to recommend funding the program at $10 million a year. The ITI budget has been recommended, the budget itself has been recommended to be incorporated into the state budget. Some other bills and legislation of note include Senate Bill 467, which will require a working group to build a common course system for all common course IAI courses among all community colleges and public universities across the state. ISU faculty and staff have been in direct conversations with the sponsor and stakeholders on our initial concerns with the bill language. It is likely that at least a version of this bill will pass this spring, as it does have the support from the governor's office, and we will continue to work with those involved on getting our concerns addressed. House Bill 4508 will change the retirement age of university police officers from 60 to 55 to match the state and city departments and assist with recruiting efforts on campus. Likely due to the lack of time, this bill was held. It will not advance this spring, however. We have spoken with the sponsor and have ensured that this will be a priority come veto session this fall. House Bill 4652. This states that the State Board of Higher Education shall create a student teaching stipend program to alleviate the financial burden of student teaching and to encourage students to pursue teaching careers while addressing the state teacher shortage. The State Board would disperse to each educator prep program funds to distribute to each eligible cooperating teacher a stipend of up to $10,000 per semester, for 2 consecutive semesters per academic year. ISU's College of Education is supportive of this bill and the goal of it, and this bill is likely to pass. Lastly, Senate Bill 2606, sponsored by our local state senator, Dave Kaler, known as the Higher Education Mental Health Days Bill. This bill was crafted by members of ISU's Student Government Association to address the mental health crisis among students on college campuses. This would give each student at least 2 excused days from their courses for personal or mental health reasons. Both the students and public university higher ed faculty and staff worked for months to draft language that would, 1, help students in need, and 2, prove workable for the universities. Senator Kaler is dedicated to addressing the mental health crisis on college campuses and does not feel at this time that the bill language was in its final form. I have spoken to Senator Kaler, members of the SGA, my counterparts at the other publics, and our team here. And we will meet this summer to discuss how universities can further work with the General Assembly to help address this crisis. If I can just add, I am proud of our students who worked on this legislation, on a cause that affects so many across the state. They did the work to research, draft bill language, coordinate with other student bodies, and gain the support of a Senate leader and Senator Dave Kaler. I'm proud to work with them, and I look forward to continuing this work overall. That concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Brad. We have a unique opportunity this morning to learn about the 3-minute thesis competition. At this time, I ask Dr. Noel Selko, Director of the Graduate School, come to the podium to introduce Sumaya Hassan, the winner of the 3-minute thesis competition.
Thank you and good morning. The 3-minute thesis is a research communication competition that our graduate students use to challenge themselves and describe their research topic and its significance in just 3 minutes to a general audience. This past February in the Normal Theater, our top 10 students presented their research from their respective colleges. The School of Biological Sciences doctoral candidate Sumaya Hassan was our university winner with her presentation, Decoding Protein Localization to Unravel Diseases. Sumaya then presented at the Midwest Association of Graduate Schools in April. Unfortunately, she did not win, but she is here today to give her winning presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment a cell is a puzzle, and each puzzle piece represents one single protein inside the cell. The position of the puzzle piece is fixed, just like the protein's position inside the cell is also fixed to complete a healthy cell. However, when the cell becomes diseased, like in case of cancer, protein position can change. So, by tracking protein's position, we can differentiate healthy and unhealthy organism. This is the principle of my research. Now, I want to share with you a fascinating journey of the microscopic world where I have been using a molecular switch inside the cell called GAL4. When the GAL4 switch is off, cell just produce the normal protein. When GAL4 switch is on, along with normal protein, cell also produces fusion protein marked with red fluorescent protein. This red protein acts like a beacon, allowing us to track down one certain protein inside the cell. In my investigation, my research model is fruit fly. I have discovered 18 different fruit fly varieties. Each represent one unique protein. These proteins often indicate unique diseases. So how my fruit fly varieties are different from normal fruit flies? My fruit fly varieties contain fusion protein and also gives us a model view of the disease condition. Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter? Well, to shed light on this question, for example, in one of my fruit fly variety, the fusion protein localizes in a critical structure called adherent junction, also mentioned as AJ. Adherent junction is a junction which stitches together all the cells and stabilizes the structure of our body. From fruit fly to human, all the animals have adherent junction. Imagine, without adherent junction, we will be like a pile of cell on the floor. By studying this protein, I have observed disruption in the eye of my fruit flies and the responsible disruptive red fusion protein shown under microscopic image. Now, why does this matter for us, humans? The disruption in the eye of my fruit flies represent disorganization in adherent junction. This similar representation found in human cancer. So my research is about unveiling the exact reason behind the cancer and also opens up the potential direction for cancer therapeutics. So next time, when you think about a puzzle, remember my research where I am putting together all the pieces to unlock the secret of life itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Samaya. Does Chair Katibon have a question?
I do. So when you studied the normal fruit fly and then the diseased fruit fly, did you cause the disease and how did you do that?
Yeah, I caused the disease. That's why I got a special type of fruit fly so that I know that they're causing, now I know that they are causing actually specifically in midgut. We see the midgut under confocal microscopy, which is like million dollar. This is called confocal microscopy. So we have that ISU core microscopic project. So I'm using that confocal
So it was the beta carotene that you used, and then you look with the electron microscope? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
I thought you might.
And thank you.
At this time, I would like to ask Mike Gebeke, Associate Vice President for Facilities Services, to share facilities update with the board.
Thank you, President Tarhuli and trustees. This is just a quick update on some of the projects you've approved in the past. It's also a representation of a lot of work from people in facilities that have taken projects from start to finish, I guess, as you would say, and we're in the middle of some of them right now. So, first one we'll talk about is DeGarmo Plaza. We've got about $6.6 million project. The first half was done last summer. The other half will be done this summer. It's basically taking care of the roof of the building. It's the roof of the classrooms and offices that are down below it. Similar to the project we did with the Milner Library, it is scheduled to be completed at the end of this summer. The next one, Wansett Kim College of Fine Arts. This is a state project working with the CDB. It is sort of in limbo right now, but we expect to have it ready to go by the fall, we think. I think is what is the latest we've gotten back from CDB working with Ratio Architects. So we should hope to see this moving forward in the fall so that we can do the big project we're basically taking down Centennial West, rebuilding it, and then remodeling some of the existing buildings that are still behind. College of Engineering is on schedule for this, for completion in summer of '26. We're in the process, we're about ready to come, and it's in a further slide of coming to the next board meeting with approval to go forward with the project. We've got design documents that are in process right now, and we've got proposed looks of how it's going to, renderings of what it should look like. We're working on the STEM building right now. This is for design. We've done programming. We're actually now in the process of starting the actual design on the project moving forward. We're planning for this to be done in the fall of 2027. And we've been working quite heavily with all affected parties in the area and hope to have it ready to go coming up as well. We'll have that in the next slide as well. The Mennonite College of Nursing with the Simulation Center is about this close to being done. We should be ready in the fall of this year coming up. They're finishing that up with, last summer we moved things around, and this year, the last year we spent building the new addition to everything over there. Waterson elevator upgrade. This is $15 million. We're actually replacing the elevators for everything in there. So these are elevators from when the building was built. We've upgraded everything past that can be upgraded, and now we're actually replacing them. So we start with one elevator. We'll do the second one. Those two, one of them has to be running at all times, and then we will go 2 at a time after that for the remaining of them. There's 8 elevators in there. All 8 will be replaced. The first brand new one will be ready by fall for move-in. Then the next one will go, and then we will do 2 at a time, so we should see this done by the spring of '26. So Waterson will actually have new elevators that hopefully we have a few less problems on move-in days. CEFQ Arena, their fire alarm was found that you couldn't hear it when it went off in the building, so we had to kind of fix that. So that is on this board meeting to ask for approval on that one. So we're going to bring that up. It's ready to start in the spring of '25 so that we can do that. We've got some interim things in place in case so that we can still use the building and take care of it. We've got chilled water improvements. You've done some of this stuff in the past. We've approved one to go over to the Mennonite College of Nursing. We've done one to add a new chiller and do some piping underground. We've got another project on here for some more piping underground for this meeting. It's all so that we can tie chilled water systems together. We've got separate plants all over the campus. If we can tie them together, we can get better efficiencies. We can take care of the diversity of the loads, and we can hopefully take some units offline so that if we have a catastrophic failure somewhere, I've got a spare ready to go so that we don't lose buildings during classes and things like that. Our Academic Enhancement Fund has been doing some very good things. We took you through Rotunda on a tour. You got to see it in the middle of construction. If you haven't been back over there, this is the first major construction in 52 years. It looks like this now. This is not renderings that you see there. So if you haven't taken a step inside to take a look at it, we have increased the use of students in there. Right now, there's a 37% increase in the use of the space over there. There is student gathering space now that we didn't have before, and we've got 2 classrooms in the 85-person range and 2 classrooms in the 222-person range. All of the other academic enhancement fund that we've got out there, we'll do a little bit of how much we've worked on that, but we take every summer and do about 20 classrooms, somewhere in that range, and then some restrooms, so that we're doing projects that impact the student experience on campus. So these are just some of the examples of it that we've done where we've upgraded different parts of classrooms and campus. There's actually a web page for every project we've done that's out there that shows before, during, and after pictures. It shows every dollar that we've spent trying to improve the student experience using that academic enhancement fee. So that academic enhancement fee expenditures, as you can see, we started this back in 2020, 2021, 2022, when we started moving a little better and quicker at it, and we've got what's called a construction crew on campus now. Our maintenance group started the construction crew, which allowed us actually to get to more of these projects and do some of the things. So you'll start seeing our increases in what we do here on our side to keep up with everything. And also, I should also include in there, we've got the major capital that we've added to it as well. So the things like DeGarmo, Rotunda, we call Rotunda, are the major capital projects, things like that that have been put in place. In the future, for some major projects coming up, we might have some, what I would say, requests for the board for more projects. So here's a few. We've got some general ideas of when they might show up. The engineering building, we're looking at July of '24. Bone, Braden, Milner generator. We need to add a generator to this area to handle all the new upgraded food service facilities and freezers and chillers and everything like that. We'll look at February of '25. The 604 North Adelaide renovation is our old firehouse that we've got criminal justice and construction management and forensics. Looks at February as well. We've got a Milner Library elevators. We'd like to replace those and make them ADA accessible. We're looking at May of *25. Our STEM building, we're thinking May of '25. Williams Hall, it's in design right now, and we're looking at possibly October of '25. Hewitt Manchester elevators, we're looking at when we could possibly get to them as well. Same thing as what we did with Watterson and sometime in February of '26. These are all optional depending on when things break. We've got other projects that could come up as well depending on how things go on campus. So that's kind of the quick update. I'm happy to answer any questions on anything you might have questions of.
Trustee Jones.
Thank you. With regard to the elevators that are going offline in Watterson, how long per elevator do we expect it to be offline? I know those must have very high usage, so I'm concerned about the disruption for the students.
It's about 4 months that we do that. We've worked with Watterson quite heavily to make sure that they understand, and we try to keep them up. We try to get it on time so that move-in, we have everything, as many as possible, up and working for that, and then we take them down after that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have one. The DeGarmo project, will that be completed at the end of this summer? Is that correct?
Yep. They are finishing it up right now. Yeah, they're starting Monday, actually.
Okay, and the fine arts project, that is dependent on the state releasing the funds?
Not releasing the funds, getting the project, the final design, and having it ready to go to bid. So we're working with them on that right now.
And hopefully that would be this fall?
Hopefully we can get it out for bid this fall, yes.
Okay, and then how long will it take for that project?
2 years.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from anyone? Okay.
That
Thank you.
concludes the reports.
We will now move to the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no individual discussion of these items unless a trustee so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered at the appropriate point on the agenda. Do any of the trustees wish to have any items removed from the consent agenda? If not, and hearing none, may I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items A to J?
So moved.
Trustee Abakumi made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Tillis. Secretary Navarro, please call for a roll call vote.
Trustee Bone?
Yes, sorry.
Trustee Abakumi?
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Navarro, yes. Trustee Tillis?
Yes.
Items included on the consent agenda are approved. It says interim president here. President Tarhule, please proceed with the resolution.
Thank you, Chairperson Bone. Resolution 2024.05/19, approval of Illinois State University Strategic Plan, Excellence by Design 2024 to 29. Today, I'm asking for your approval of the next strategic plan for Illinois State University. A 22-member task force was commissioned in the fall of 2022 to review, revise, and update our strategic plan. Through campus consultations, stakeholder feedback, and thoughtful analysis, the task force updated Illinois State's mission and vision statements and core values for an evolving era. Goals and objectives are outlined within 4 strategic directions that inspire and prioritize success for the next 5 years. A great deal of thought, consultation, and input was sought from campus stakeholders in developing the new strategic plan, and each of the shared governance groups, Academic Senate, Administrative/Professional Council, Civil Service Council, and Student Government Associations have endorsed Excellence by Design 2024 to 29. The plan builds upon the success of prior plans and sets forth a direction to further advance the university in the coming years. It is written broadly to provide guidance, not constraints. The strategic directions and the values they express provide a framework for university divisions, colleges, and units to identify creative ways in which they will help move the university forward under a collective vision. I ask for your approval of this resolution.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Trustee Abakumi made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second, Navarro.
Trustee Navarro, second. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes. Trustee Jenkins.
Yeah, thank you. Just congratulations, excellent work done by the committee and the team. I was a fan of the previous strategic plan, and I really liked how it laid out a series of, underneath the strategic plan, a layer of data, collection, metrics, and things like that. I'm one of those people who believes that strategic plans without that you don't get a lot of movement in things. And I think what this will do with your guidance and the support of the administration and the faculty is really uncover where our strengths are and where our opportunities for improvement. I will be here, sitting in one of these chairs for the duration of this plan. And the one metric that I will tend to look on, because it has been one of the most challenging metrics for this institution to improve, is the 4-year graduation rate for Black males. It is a proxy measure that I look at, and honestly, if we can't improve that, both on the enrollment and the persistence side, then we're never going to reach our goals of retention and improving our completion rate. And so I look forward to hearing more about what the metrics are that will be buried underneath this and how we're improving them over time, especially in the area of serving underserved students and the types of students. Because I believe that data is their student voice. And we hear their voice in that data, and they're asking us to please improve. And so I hope that we continue to drill into that. We hold ourselves accountable. I am fully embrace shared governance. I also embrace shared responsibility, that it's not just the administration and the academic leadership of this institution. It's also the faculty and staff that need to come forward and help to support students in their goals. So thank you very much for doing this, and I'm thrilled to be starting on this journey with you.
Is there any other discussion?
Madam Chair,
Trustee Abakumi.
I'm going to add on to Trustee Jenkins' point and just say, I hope once this plan is approved that we provide metrics and goals that are visible to the public so that we're not only held accountable internally, but also externally as well.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you. And we are in complete agreement with the opinions expressed by both trustees. Thank you. Resolution 2024.05/20, approval of mandatory student fees and room and board rates for academic year 2024-2025. Setting mandatory student fees and room and board rates is always a complex exercise, but the impact of employee wage increases and minimum wage law, increases in financial aid, inflationary increases in operation expenditures, and deferred maintenance and capital projects highlight the importance of the university's goal of balancing fiscal accessibility for current and future students while maintaining sufficient operating funds. For the 2024 to 2025 academic year, FY 2025, Illinois State University is seeking approval to charge mandatory fees of $117.21 per credit hour to undergraduate and graduate students. The requested rate represents a 3.6% increase. Increases in mandatory student fees will benefit the academic enhancement, athletic and service, and athletic facilities fees. Each year, fee increases are reviewed, and increases, if supported, are recommended by the Student Fee Review Committee. The Association of Residence Halls, or ARH, reviews recommendations for room and board for the next year and makes a recommendation to the Vice President for Student Affairs. ARH endorsed a 3.5% increase for housing and dining costs for FY24. With approval, services will continue to be appropriately funded to meet operational costs, provide funds for debt service, and fulfill repair and replacement reserve requirements. I ask for your approval of this resolution.
It appears that more information is needed to consider this motion. So is there a motion to table consideration of this resolution?
I so move.
Trustee Navarro made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will table this resolution until the July meeting.
Thank you, Chairperson Bond. Resolution 2024.05/21, FY 2025 spending authorization. The Board of Trustees is obligated to approve the university's annual operating budget. This resolution is brought to the board each year to keep the university operating between July 1 and approval of the annual operating budget at the October Board of Trustees meeting. Because this is the last scheduled meeting of the Board of Trustees before the start of a new fiscal year on July 1, the university requests your approval to spend budgeted funds beginning July 1, 2024, prior to a final approved state appropriation funding level and approval of the FY 25 university operating budget. The university will return with a resolution seeking authorization for the fiscal year 2025 operating budget at the October quarterly meeting after state funding for the fiscal year is finalized. The tables accompanying this resolution represent FY 2025 spending authorization by object and function of expenditure and anticipate projections of stable student enrollment and state appropriations. This total spending authority is flat relative to the FY 2024 operating budget with slight fluctuations in certain objects. Primary cost increases are anticipated in personnel services and awards and grants. Personnel services increases include anticipated cost increases for minimum wage, salary agreements put in place in FY 2024, and potential merit compensation increases. Awards and grants reflect an increase in student financial aid, reflecting the university's commitment to college accessibility. Decreases are reflected in contractual and equipment lines based on current year expenditures and cost projections. I ask for your approval of this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Trustee Jones made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Trustee Abakumi. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Resolution 2024.05/22, authorization to purchase procurement system. Illinois State University purchases many products to support students, faculty, and staff for various needs. Over the fiscal year, the university purchases approximately $200 million in goods and services and issues nearly 2,000 purchase orders. The university currently uses a collection of manual processes and modified software applications to meet those needs and remain compliant. This resolution seeks authorization to select and implement a procurement system for an amount not to exceed $1.3 million for fiscal year 2025 to 29. The benefits of this system include improved visibility and tracking of contracts, automation of business processes, improved compliance with contract terms, improved project tracking and spending management, enhanced analytics and reporting to improve business decision process, improved tracking of contract expiration and renewal dates, and improved ordering processes for all departments across campus. These enhancements will lead to significant financial savings and operational efficiencies across campus. The source of funding is general revenue. I ask for your approval of this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution?
So moved.
The motion was made by Trustee Abakumi, second by Trustee Jones. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Trustee Jones.
I'm always the one that asks this question, so I'll ask it today. Given this, what we are requesting, have we done so? I'm sure we've done some examination. I don't know who's supposed to stand up for this one to make sure that what we're approving today seems reasonable, and it seems like we won't get a request coming up later to add more money to this. So someone.
I ask Vice President Dan Stevens.
Two Dans.
My apologies. Dan Petrie, could you please approach the podium?
Right.
Please go to the
Because
podium.
everybody can't hear you. We can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, we have. We actually engaged a consulting firm to look at our needs, our current situation, and bring us some suggestions for how we could improve quickly. And we vetted 3 different providers and elected one that we felt wasn't the most expensive, by the way. You'll be happy to hear that. But we thought it met our needs the best and will provide us with some substantial improvement and cost savings. And these are hard numbers. These are actual bid numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you, Chairperson Bone, and I apologize to Dan Petrie for referring to him as Dan Stevens. Resolution 2024.05/23, authorization to designate surplus real estate and delegation of authority to sell surplus real estate. The amended State Property Contract Act, 30 ILCS 605/1, allows the Board of Trustees of any Illinois public institution of higher education, including Illinois State University, to sell, lease, or otherwise transfer or convey to a bona fide purchaser for value all or part of real estate deemed by the board to be surplus real estate. Therefore, Illinois State is seeking authorization to designate Lot G86 North as surplus real estate and authority to sell said property. G86 North is a 44-store parking lot located at 404 Normal Avenue, north of Willow. Recent lot county surveys show minimal use of this lot. Large potholes and depressions have recently developed, and the lot is in overall poor condition. Proceeds of the sale will be used to fund deferred maintenance of existing parking facilities. I ask for your approval of this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Trustee Abakumi made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Jones, second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Resolution 2024.05/25, authorization to acquire information technology service management software and services. IT service management, ITSM, refers to the set of policies, processes, and procedures that organizations use for designing, delivering, managing, and improving IT services to meet the needs of their customers. The goal of ITSM is to ensure that IT services are aligned with the needs of the business and delivered efficiently and effectively. ITSM involves various activities such as incident management, problem management, change management, configuration management, service level managers, and helps organizations ensure the quality, reliability, and agility of their IT services while optimizing cost and resources. In 2014, Illinois State University adopted its first campus-wide ITSM tool, Sharewell Services Management. While the system has performed well, the university has been informed the software will reach its end of life in December 2026. Staff from multiple departments have determined ServiceNow will best meet the current needs of users and departments. This new tool offers the opportunity for better integration into tools existing on campus and allows for automation of existing practices and can also be expanded to non-IT organizations on campus that needs tools to manage request workloads and approvals. The university seeks to enter into a 42-month agreement to allow for an implementation period that overlaps the final year of Sharewell Service Management. With this resolution, the university seeks authorization of expenditures not to exceed $1,065,000 for the necessary software solution, contingency, and implementations to replace the existing ITSM system with ServiceNow. The source of funds is general revenue. I ask for your approval of this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Trustee Abakumi made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Navarro, second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Resolution 2024.05/27, recognition of student trustee Aslihem Ebikumi. Whereas Aslihem Ebikumi was elected as student trustee for the 2022-23 and 2023-24 academic years by his constituents at Illinois State University to represent their interest as a member of the Board of Trustees of Illinois State University. And whereas Aslihem Ebikumi ably discharged that responsibility while at the same time keeping in mind the interest of all the people of the state. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Illinois State University expresses its sincere appreciation to Aslihem Ebikumi for his service on the board and its hope for his success in all future endeavors.
May I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution?
So moved.
The motion is made by trustee Tillis, second by trustee Jenkins. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Resolution is approved.
I note that Asha's mom is here. Would you also rise to be recognized? And this concludes the resolutions for today.
May I, if you would humor me for a moment,
Well,
Madam Chair?
for the last time, we will humor you.
I appreciate it, thank you. I really just want to say, thank you to all of my, board colleagues. I mean, I think you guys put in a lot of work, and sometimes that goes underappreciated, because people don't get to see what you do behind the scenes. I mean, you pick up my phone calls, and typically the first thing I say is, I want to burn it all down to the ground. But then you talk me off the ledge. You try to get rid of that chaos, and you kind of just explain things to me as they should be. And you also listen to me and you hear me. So I appreciate that. I also want to thank some of the very people in this room who have been instrumental to my journey. LJ, Stacy's back there, Dawn, Bill, Danielle Miller-Schuster, Chief Woodruff. I mean, there's so many of you in the Division of Student Affairs who have been instrumental and have had such a large impact to me on my time here at ISU. And I can't be any more thankful and grateful for what you've done. Ryan, this is an incredible opportunity. I think you're an amazing individual. I think you'll do well. Leverage the resources that are available to you. Find good mentors. Rely on these board colleagues. I think ISU is a great place, and I think you'll make it even greater with your impact. So thank you all.
I would now entertain a motion to move into closed session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1, to discuss collective negotiating bargaining matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C2, to discuss litigation that has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11, to discuss the purchase or lease of property for the use of the public body pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C5, discussion regarding the setting of a price for sale or lease of property presently owned by the public body pursuant to 5 ILCS 120C6, and discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C21. May I have a motion and a second to approve the motion to move into closed session for the purposes identified?
So moved.
Trustee Abakuni made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, trustee Jenkins. Any discussion?
Wait a minute. If we go
Yes,
into
Chris.
this, then we won't be able to celebrate Ash anymore, right?
Right, Scott.
I can't answer that.
Okay, I'm fine then.
Hearing no discussion, will the secretary please call for a roll call vote?
Trustee Bone?
Yes.
Trustee Abakumi?
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Navarro, yes. Trustee Tillis?
Yes.
The motion is approved, and we will now move into closed session. Following closed session, the board will reconvene in this room for public session for the purpose of adjournment. Thank you.